Also, Ali has launched her new event called Awakened Awareness. And speaking of the angel, here she is.
Hi, I heard that. Hi, everyone.
After a night out with your friends, you call your spouse to pick you up. They arrive and you find they have also been drinking. Do you get in the car and let them drive you home, or do you call an Uber to take both of you home? And we will start with muting everybody. Unfortunately, with Altspace, we can't talk all at once yet, or we can't even sing all at once, but I'm sure they'll work on that. And then, for those who pop in at a later stage, or if you're lucky to pop in because we are limited to only 30 people, then you can raise your hands if you haven't spoken, or if you're not on the couch and you're feeling brave enough to share your thoughts. So let's start with the first person on my left is Noor. Hello, welcome. Feel free to speak or pass. It's entirely up to you.
You can hear me?
We can hear you.
Hi. So for me, Uber.
What would you do, Noor?
The second choice, Uber.
Uber.
I call an Uber.
All right, thank you. Great. Then let's go to Toby. 1 second, Toby. I've got 4 pages of people to go through. All right. Toby, welcome.
So what I do is obviously you'd call an Uber straight away because, well, actually, me personally, I don't drink at all. So I would then drive home. But assuming I have been drinking, I would absolutely call an Uber. Because even like after having just one drink, your reaction time is slowed a lot. Especially someone like me, I'm a super lightweight. I have one drink and my head's already spinning, so I wouldn't even think about driving at all. So yeah, definitely be calling an Uber.
Awesome, thank you. Ali, you there?
Yes, can you hear me better now?
Much better. You've read The Social Dilemma, right?
Good. I have.
Awesome.
Jason, 1977. Hi, welcome.
Jason, 1977.
What's up, guys? You know what? I think I would take the back roads because if you take an Uber, you're gonna have to leave the car there, right?
Yeah.
And then you have to go back and get it again the next day. Somebody could vandalize it. And I live in Texas, so I would just take the back roads, you know, just go the speed limit and just be real cool. Get home safe.
Hopefully get home safe. You know, when I was writing this dilemma today, I was thinking that you drove to your friends and then you drank, and then your wife, your spouse has to come pick you up. So you have 2 cars there. But I thought, let's not complicate the situation. But I'm glad you brought that up, 1977. Raw United, good to see you again. Welcome.
Hi, yeah, so where I live, there's a lot of really big public transport hubs. So what I tend to do is that I don't even own a car. I just tend to get public transport to most locations, and sort of that's the equivalent of Uber in this situation. But that would be my approach to the dilemma.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, awesome.
Paul
Laff.
good
Hi,
to
and welcome
see
back. Laff.
Hi, yes. Yes, I think call an Uber Uber driver. It doesn't say how much she'd been drinking. I assume she'd been drinking to excess, and you'd been drinking to excess as well.
Enough to have to call your wife.
Yes, but it says the spouse has also been drinking. I assume she's also been drinking to excess.
Up to interpretation, Paul.
Yeah. Okay. Call an Uber taxi, yeah.
All right.
Uber driver.
The other thing to like have in the back of your mind is like, how will your spouse respond to that? You know, like they've literally just gotten there, come to pick you up to find out that you refuse to let them drive. Let's go to Harry Haller.
Harry, hi, welcome. I see everybody's got their seats, right? Every time we come back, we all get our seats.
Except Norway Dylan. He seems
Hi.
to jump from place to place, I've noticed.
No, he's also got a steady seat over there, I see.
Yes, Harry.
Hi guys. So
Harry.
I'm more or less in the same situation as Roar United. I do not own a car. I do not drive. However, I see the point someone was trying to make about, you know, if you already drove there, it's a bit tricky to leave your car there. You don't want to trust everyone there, especially if it's a area where people drink. So yeah, I would get an Uber driver. I like the convenience of Uber, especially because I can go out and drink all the time because I don't never drive. So yeah, I would call an Uber driver.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Solomon 50, hi, welcome.
Feel free to speak or pass,
Feel
Solomon.
free. Thank you, Tim.
All right, let's move to the next person. Mary May 55. Mary May. Is the music making everyone fall asleep? Mary May, are you there?
I can't seem to find it.
Found.
Yes.
Hi.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, that's my husband here, right here next to me. He couldn't, I don't know, he's not, you can't hear him. So, but my answer would be, first of all, where I live, I wouldn't be taking my car. My area, I can just walk if I wanted to go out for a drink. So that wouldn't be such an issue for me. I could walk home. If it was so bad that I had to call him to pick me up with a car, and he'd been drinking, he's the kind of person that's not going to drink so much ever, and he's very solid and stable, and I would have completely trusted him to drive me home, but it probably wouldn't have been like a far area. It would have probably been just a very close area. So that would be my answer. I would have just called him and trusted him, and he would have made the right call to know whether he would want to be capable of driving or not, because he's completely trustworthy and
Awesome.
amazing. So he's right here.
Thank you very much. Let me give him the megaphone again. You know what? There's two types of people I love on Altspace. First are couples. They're the best. And the second thing are doppelgangers. And it looks like you guys are both doppelgangers and couples. That's freaking awesome. Let's try. Solomon.
Sorry, emojis for that.
Am I? Can you hear
You
me
have
now?
to click.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes, we
Oh,
can
okay.
hear you.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah. So,
Hi, welcome.
thank you. Yeah, for me, I'm wondering why it's a social dilemma, not a moral dilemma. But yeah, definitely Uber is the way to go in the context of this dilemma. That's what I would choose. But I would see it also as a moral dilemma. But
You know,
because
I also thought about it as a moral dilemma because there are a form of legal implications involved. But
right.
I don't know. You see, there isn't a very good definition worldwide about moral dilemmas. And so I made it social because it's not a very big issue. It's not a
Okay.
environmental issue, a political issue. It's like
But it is,
a
well,
crime.
at least where we are, it's a
Yeah.
legal issue.
All right. Thank you, Solomon. Thank you, Mary. Let's go to Noveliki. Is that how you say it?
Hi and welcome.
Feel
Okay,
free
I think
to
you
say
would like to skip, right?
skip.
Just nod if you'd like to skip because I see you declined the.
Oh, no, that's fine then. And you can
Microphone.
raise your hand if you feel like speaking at a later stage. Can we?
Melon.
Yeah, Melon.
Yes. Sorry, one sec. Melon, hi and welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
You know, I would, I find it pretty easy to choose. I would definitely call an Uber. You know, I'm one for safety.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Playing it
2020
safely.
Dinner Century.
I'm giving you megaphone. Sorry, I don't know if you've declined.
Ta-da!
Hi and welcome.
Hey,
Welcome to
good
2021.
afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. To the couple,
Hi.
very interesting that we had a question about couples, right? Yeah, no? Okay.
Yes.
I would take the chance and drive home just because I've already had a couple DUIs, haven't killed anybody, and this is just a hypothetical question in reality. So I wouldn't take an Uber. I've never taken an Uber. I might take a cab one day, but not a big fan of cabs. I'll drive my car.
Right. Thank you. The A only or the only. Hi and welcome. Hi.
Feel free if you would like to speak or pass, DA. It's entirely up to you. And wow, this place is filling up nicely, Ali. Let's go to
Yes. It's actually hard to find everyone. Kristen.
Kristen.
Hi and welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, I feel like this is probably the easiest dilemma that you have ever done. Because if my spouse picked me up and was drinking after I had told them I was drinking, there's no way. I mean, it's like a no-brainer. There's no way I would get in the car with them. Not only would I take an Uber, but I'd make them park their car and take the Uber as well. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem... I don't know. I'm looking for the other side of this.
Super. Thank you. Yellow Majesty. Hi and welcome.
Howdy all.
Hi. Congratulations on your
Hi.
new music project. I just want to say take some time to check out Yellow Majesty on internet. He's a musician. Interesting music.
Oh, thank you very much.
Hi and
That's very
welcome.
kind of you. Thank you. It's good to be back. I actually agree with Kristen here. I'm struggling to see in what sense this would be a dilemma. But first of all, I'll address this on a hypothetical level because I don't drink, I don't drive, and I don't drink and drive. So for me, it would be quite easy to not even attend this situation. But given the premise that I have, I would try to treat it in a creative way. So once my spouse arrives, I would call one of my friends, not the Uber, call one of my friends and tell them to come with an Uber to to the place where I am and drive the car back home and continue to party together with my spouse because we have already been drinking. And after that, I will take the a second Uber back home later on during the evening. So that would be how I would manage this situation.
Awesome. Let me just jump in here quickly. When we started the social dilemmas, we basically had 3 types, and I know most people over here didn't go to our first bunch of social dilemmas. It wasn't on the main events and all that. But basically, the idea was to start off with a quickie. And a quickie is literally a like 1 sentence or 1 word answer. And this here, like Kristen's saying, she doesn't know why it's a big dilemma. Well, this is a quickie. That's a build-up for the next dilemma, which you will understand why it's happened like this. And what I mentioned last week is that we're now choosing one dilemma and we're going to twist it from a quickie into a deeper discussion. And you'll see exactly why in a bit. But you remember, Ali, we used to have very short answers when we started the social dilemma and the moral dilemma.
Yes, in the beginning.
Yes, yes.
I remember the quickie.
So I do enjoy the quickie because now we can do the build-up for the next one. And the anticipation is just fantastic. No way, Dylan.
It's funny, when I was younger, this was a moral dilemma for me because I don't drink now, but I used to drink, and I would get on my bike, and I stopped doing that because I found that in the middle of the night I was sliding down mountains on ice. But a car is totally different, because when you do that with the car, it would be one thing if I risk killing myself, but to risk killing someone else is even worse. But what I find interesting is the difference in answers here. Like, you have this guy in Texas that would risk it, and there was another guy that would risk it too. And I've spent time in the United States. I noticed that people in the interior, they're very dependent on their cars, unlike us in Europe, where we have this, we have all this public transport. But I guess I would take the risk if my wife was pregnant or if that someone got shot. But you outweigh the risks and the benefits. But I find the answer is different. I'm guessing that those that would take the risk, they're in the interior of the United States where you have a car. Because I remember I spent time in Florida, and when I told people I didn't drive, they're like, "What? What's wrong with you? Are you from another planet or something?"
Yeah. All right. Thanks for those experiences, Norway. For some, it's a no-brainer. For others, it's a deep discussion, and there are no right and wrong answers at these dilemma events. I mean, you can say there's more right than wrong, but there are no exact right or wrong answers.
It's all about perception and opinion.
Yes, let's go to Handy.
Yes, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Yes. Hi and welcome.
Okay, great. I think it is intentionally ambiguous that there's a lot of questions. Like, again, how much have you had to drink? What is the situation? Is Uber available? Is Uber safe in the age of coronavirus? So in my particular case, the biggest factor would be the trust. That do I trust my wife to assess her condition to come and get me? Undoubtedly, if I overrode that decision, then I'd be violating that trust. So a variety of things: how safe it is, how available, what trust factors are involved, and the least of the consideration would be my preferences, because I gave that up when I drank too much. I should have gotten a ride there to begin with, or I should have arranged for a ride home. So I would probably drive, take the ride unless it was clearly obvious that she was not capable of an offer to pay for the Uber or offer for whatever it would take to make everybody safe. But like I said, my choices were, my options were limited when I chose to violate her trust by drinking too much and having a car there. That's it.
Thank you, Handy. You're always going to get a completely intelligent answer as soon as you hear, there are a number of factors that you need to consider. I feel like that's the best way to answer a question. When you're going to start like listing things. Nice. Ross the effing frog.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Yeah, go.
Hi,
Good.
welcome.
What's happening?
Awesome. What's hopping? Nicely done.
Had to do
you
it.
know, I think you said it really well, Handy. I think the factor that I consider most is certainly my level of trust in my partner, and then also simultaneously the number of drinks that they've had. So, you know, at its face value, they've also been drinking. Feels, you know, a bit ambiguous, but if I understood how many drinks she had, also things like how much food she had eaten, you know, when taking consideration how many drinks, and so therefore, and of course, like, yeah, her current level of belief that she is good to drive, especially if she's on the fringe of what would be considered okay for her to drive for the legal limit. So, you know, her headspace, how many she's had, I would take that into consideration. But for the most part, I would consider Uber if we're looking at it just whether she's been drinking or hasn't been drinking. If she's been drinking, I'm comfortable with the concept of both taking an Uber home. And that's that.
Awesome. Thank you. Ross the effing frog looks a bit like me, but in a frog suit. Let's go to Luke. Ali, are you still there? Did my dad joke just kill
Can
you
you hear
off?
me?
Yeah, did my dad
I
joke
was
just
busy
kill you
laughing.
off?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
All right, let's go to Lukey.
Hi, Luke. Welcome.
Hello.
We can't seem to hear you. If you are talking, would you kindly nod?
Let's see.
No.
Did we try give him the megaphone?
Yes, I have. Let me try again.
Let me try.
Maybe there's a problem on this side. Okay.
All right. I can see he really wants to speak. Luke.
Okay, there you go.
Are you there? You want to re-enter and then just raise your hand and then we'll try again. All right. Let's go to Billy Bob. Yeah, we can't hear you, Luke. You might need to just re-enter and then raise that hand of yours. We'll get straight to you. Billy Bob.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi, welcome.
Hi. Yeah, in the first instance, I would pretty much echo what Kristen said, in that it sort of seems on the surface that it's an obvious question. But the thing that sort of worries me, I mean, I've actually been in a similar situation in the past when I was younger, and I'm sad to say that when I was not sober and I made the decision, I didn't make the right decision. I did get in the car, sort of drove along the road, and at some point realised this was a bit stupid and pulled over and actually just sort of slept for an hour in the car and that sort of thing. But the part of this that worries me is that I think that I've sort of assessed the situation and realised that my judgment's impaired because I'm drunk, and then when my spouse has arrived, their judgment is also impaired. So the people who are saying, well, I think if the spouse trusts themselves to drive, I don't think we can necessarily trust ourselves or our spouse, because we don't know if we're in the exact state of mind. And the thing that worries me, I don't want to go on to it too much because you may well follow on with this, but I'm guessing that I may say, let's get an Uber, and they disagree. And then how badly would I stop them if they drive off and I look at them and I think, well, actually you're weaving across the road, you know, do I phone the police? What do I do? You know, where does that go? But I won't comment too much on that, but that's the sort of thing that would worry me in that situation.
Awesome. Thank you. Ali?
Hi. Yes.
It's up to you.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I don't go out to drink and drive. So if I was going to drink, I wouldn't be driving. I would have somebody drive me there in the first place. But in the situation that I did drive there and I was a little bit drunk, and I called my spouse, I think the spouse that I would have chosen would have been responsible enough to tell me over the phone that, hi, honey, I've actually been drinking myself too. However, I can come with a cab or an Uber and pick you up, which would be a more responsible thing. If my spouse did come and they had been drinking, I really doubt they would be my spouse. But anyway, in that case, I would have taken the car keys from both cars, parked the cars at the side, taken a cab home with the both of us in the car, and then when we were sober the next day or after a few hours, we would both take another cab to go back and get our cars and go back home safely. If I want to drink and be irresponsible and an accident happens with a child in the car, it is totally my responsibility, and no one should have to suffer because of my irresponsibility. Whether I live in a countryside, or whether I live in a city, it's not about me, it's about what could happen while you're on your way home, right? At the late hours of the day or in the early hours in the morning. So just the thoughts out there to be a little bit more responsible. So, sorry.
Talk about a quickie. Wow.
That was my essay.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yes.
Thanks.
10 years later.
You can say thanks.
Tim, what would you do?
Thank you for hearing my TED Talk.
Thank you guys for listening to my long TED Talk.
Well, first,
but it's about responsibility, and this is serious.
Yeah, well,
so,
you did cut my answer in half, so I echo what you say about the choosing of the spouse. And no, it's good because then we can move on to the next one. But I think the important factor to consider is that you don't want to create a negative situation. And what I was telling Ali yesterday, because we talk about these things and we discuss these type of dilemmas, is that sometimes it's the problem is not the problem, it's how you go about the problem. So the spouse arrives drunk and they're like, get in the car, and then you start screaming, and then you can see that it becomes a feud and it becomes an irritation within the relationship. So you want to take this situation and you don't want to turn it into a fight or in something really negative. I mean, the consideration that she's drunk, he or she is drunk, driven to you, and now you need to deal with the ramifications, is something that you can't do in the night. You got to say, listen, why were you drinking? How can you drive? We've got bigger issues than that, and that is 1, communication issues, 2, drinking issues, that's unheard of, and 3, how can you risk your life like that? Will you do the same with your own children? So there are a lot of factors to consider. So to brush it off that night, because you can't rationalize with somebody that's been drinking, that part of the brain is not functioning, is that I will say, you know what, let's go to a restaurant, let's go carry on partying, and then let's just go at it for 3 or 4 hours until someone's sobered enough to drive us home, instead of leaving 2 cars and creating that fuss of now let's get an Uber and then we're leaving 2 cars. So for me it's a big there's bigger problems than the actual problem, but it's how you go about the problem. Before we continue, add a commercial break. The commercial break is going to be very short today, if you don't mind. And that is, as you know, that these events that we create, we do it via a project called VR Digital Citizens. And I can tell you to join my Facebook group and the Instagram and Oh My Brain. But now I've done what everybody's been asking for the last couple of months. And that is I started a Discord channel called VR Digital Citizens, where you'll get all the reminders, all the events, videos. You'll get Ali's Awakened Awareness, spiritual and psychology events, which is really beautiful. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a message, because I've never done this before. And I'll say, please join VR Digital Citizens on my Discord server. And then I'll put in that link. And hopefully it works. So there we go. Sent it out. You can really help if you can. and then we will build a really beautiful community all together. And then we can even incorporate your events, because we do have a section saying promote your events. So when you join the Discord server, you'll get the welcome, you'll get quick links where you can join all of our groups and stuff, the rules. Then we have promote your events, the moral dilemma, social dilemma, oh my brain, awakened awareness, Greek mythology, and then moderators. If you guys want to moderate the Discord server, you can let us know. So yeah, that is the commercial break. Now we can move to the second social dilemma for today. And that is... All right, so I just want to know if it opened on your side. Did anybody manage to open it? VR Digital Citizens. Or if not, then add me as a friend. Let me see. Maybe we should do this a little bit later, because I'm still learning these things, actually. I literally learned this yesterday. But yeah, join VR Digital Citizens. Let's go to the second dilemma. And this one, just think about it a little bit. And I want you to put yourself as if you were a child again. And this is a dilemma that you got to think about for if there were situations with either in your childhood or for children that you're going to have. Think about the situation. It's quite deep. After a night out with your friends, you call your mom or dad to pick you up instead. They arrive and you find they have been drinking a lot. Do you get in the car with them and let them drive you home, or do you tell them not to drive and call an Uber? So let's go start with Noor again. And listen, if we get your names wrong, you can help us. So yeah, we'll start with Noor. Ali? Where is...
Noor, hi.
All right.
Yeah. Just waiting for you to accept.
Noor.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, cool. Second choice, the same of the other one. I call an Uber.
Thank you.
You hear me? You have hear my answer?
Yes, we heard you. Thank you.
Okay, sorry for my English.
Sorry.
I'm French.
It's okay.
No
You're very
problem.
welcome.
Perfect.
Thank you for trying. It's perfect.
Okay, thank you very much.
XAN, man.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
I would go with the Uber.
You'd go with Uber, thank you. If you don't mind me asking, how old are you? Okay, we lost you here. I just want to remind you this is an over 16 event, just for safety. And Toby.
Alright, hello.
Hi.
I think you do. I would obviously do the same, but obviously, if you are a child in this situation, you're not going to have any choice because you have drunk parents picking you up, and they're just going to say, "Just get in the bloody car." That they are. I mean, you throw a tantrum or all you like. They're just going to get even angrier with you. So you would. I personally wouldn't. I would have just stood outside and say, no, I'm not getting in. But a lot of people would not have the option they would have to get in because you've got a drunk parent. They've come to pick you up. So I think a lot of people would be forced in. But personally, I would just try and flat out refuse as much as I could.
Right, thank you. Roar United. Roar United.
Yeah, so with this situation, if I'm taking it from personal experience, what I probably would have done is because if you looking at the context, since you're the child, you'd probably not even legally be able to drink unless it is just a situation of you still live with your mum and dad past that age. But in that situation, if it's with friends and you're at one of their houses, I would have stayed at my friend's house overnight to sober up and then returned home in the morning instead of calling halfway through the night when they may have also been drinking as well.
Yes, also very responsible. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you so much. Solomon.
Right. Yeah, I don't see any great difference between the previous dilemma and this one. I think the answer is the same. If it's true for one, it's true for the other. Truth is truth.
Yes.
Yeah. In my personal case, it's kind of a moot point because neither of my parents have ever drank. But yeah, it's the Uber. It's got to be Uber no matter what.
I think it purely depends on the type of parents that you have. Like if you have lenient parents and not too controlling, then suggesting a Uber is fine. But a lot of children have very abrupt and angry parents that force you to do things. And if you're a little 17-year-old child or 16-year-old child, and you have your father try and pick you up and say, get in the car right now, and you're in this dilemma now, where for him it's the only thing to do, and for you, you've got to make some type of decision like, no, I'm not getting in the car, and facing the point of being kicked out the house or something. So, this all depends on different types of parents and how do you deal with these type of situations, because a lot of children are not being brought up as adults. They're being brought up as children constantly. They're being told what to do. They are being spoken when other people ask the questions. And that's why I made this discussion a little bit more on a personal side when it comes to upbringing, because our children are not being brought up as adults. They're being brought up as children. And that's the problem that I have with fucking parents nowadays. Especially here in South Africa. I'm not sure. London, I'm very impressed with how parenting, certain types of parenting that I saw, but it is a global issue. All right, let's go to... Oh, and this doesn't apply to my parents at all. I've really been very lucky, the cosmic lottery of having amazing parents. All four of them. Mary May, 55.
Yeah, so very interesting for me. My parents have both passed away. They neither drove and neither drank. So that's really interesting. But in my mind, I'm thinking of, I don't know if if you're fans of the show called Better Call Saul, but I'm reminded of the scene where Kim, who is the hero of the story or the heroine of the story, where she's a young girl and she is faced with that situation where her drunken mother comes to pick her up from school. I don't know if you've seen that scene, and she's, I don't know, maybe 10 or 11 years old, Kim, and she absolutely stands her ground, even though she's been waiting outside of the school in the dark and alone and cold in Nebraska, and her mom comes and pick her up, and her mom is drunk, and she absolutely refuses to go in the car. She absolutely refuses to go in the car. Mom is yelling at her, screaming. You can see mom is drunk. And Kim just walks. She just walks next to the car. Mom's in the car. She just walks. So that would be me. So I would just walk home like Kim did. She had the balls to do that as a child. I would do that too. So it kind of relates to my first answer, where I would also walk home because I would be drinking in my area, walking. I would walk home. So you got to have the balls, the conviction, your own sense of self, your own sense of personhood or humanity at a very early age to withstand the lottery of our parents. So that's how I feel. That was my experience, and so that's my answer. Yeah.
Thanks,
Walk
Mary.
home.
Thank you, Mary May. Kristen.
Okay, I have two thoughts on this. My first immediate thought is conviction is conviction, right? If it was, no, I wouldn't get in the car with somebody who was driving. If they were my spouse, my answer would be no, I wouldn't get in the car with my parent either. However, working with children, and even I remember back, when I was younger, being in a similar situation with a friend's parent, that conviction, it all goes out the door when it's your parents or your, any family for that matter, as a child. So my first question is, after a night out with my friends, am I drinking or am I just hanging out? Can I possibly drive home? Because I know that's what I did as a child when I was in this situation. I drove home. Maybe not legal, but definitely more safe than getting in the car with somebody who had been drinking and driving. My second thought is, if I am, maybe my parents come to pick me up, I would hope they'd be smart enough not to do that. And I just feel bad. Like, I feel very sad that kids are often put themselves, are often put in this situation by parents, whether it's drugs or drinking. And it's, I wouldn't personally get in the car. How's that? Instead of rambling. I would really hope as a child I'd be strong enough and have strong enough convictions to say, hey, why don't we take a taxi? I don't feel safe. But I also know the ramifications that could bring. So I would try to figure out a plan B very quickly. Maybe have my friend's parents talk to them or something, and try to get them to say, hey, I don't think it's safe. Maybe I'll call you an Uber. Or, hey, I don't think this is safe. Maybe, how about I drive you home? And that would have to be like a very on-the-fly conversation, that I just would hope as a child back in the day that I would be smart enough to do that. I don't know. I'll stop rambling now.
Thanks, Kristen. Yeah, interesting thoughts. Yellow Majesty.
Well, Timon, there are several factors you need to think about.
Oh, yeah.
And many of those factors were already covered by Kristen. So I don't have an intelligent answer, but I do have... I'm just curious about how the parents would react. And I think that depends on how accustomed or domestic intelligent has become to their parents. Is this a routine operation? Do they do this on continuous basis where they drink and drive? Am I starting to see a pattern which I perhaps adopt because these are my parents who I look up to? All these are hypothetical reactions from my part because I have the best of parents who would not act as these parents in this hypothetical scenario would. But besides that, actually, I think Kristen covered most of my points and the factors that are extremely important. So I don't have anything else to add. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I cannot read that. Ali?
Magnificent. YouTube. Hi, welcome. I think I got it right.
Hey.
Help.
No, you got
Hi.
it right. That's correct. That's correct.
How you guys doing? No, I was thinking like more of a dilemma where you trust that your parent will come pick you up, but right before they pick you up, you as a kid decide to drink some more. So it's not like you're sober enough to make that decision whether to go with them or not, because you're drinking some more and you can't make that tough call of by the time your parents come, then what? That could be a danger in itself as well.
It basically sounds like the child is more mature to actually drive at this age.
Well, or it gets to the point where it's like, okay, I know my parents are responsible to come pick me up, but I don't know that they're drunk until they get here. But at that point, I'm already drinking some more as a kid, so I'm really more drunk than what I was before. So then, what happens then?
There's a trust factor right there if you think about it, because you're at the club, you're drinking, you've already spoken to your parents that they're going to pick you up, and then they come to you and you know that they've been drinking, and then where does the trust factor go? Because to gain trust is very difficult. So yeah, thank you.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you, Magnificent.
Thank
Billy
you.
Bob.
Hi. Yeah, it's a funny one. I'm thinking back, so I'm sort of like 40 now. I'm thinking back to if I was sort of the age of the child there, and I would be devastated if my parents arrived in that state. I would perhaps raise some concerns, but as I think it was Raw mentioned, if they sort of like said, "Look, shut up, get in the car," then as a child, I probably would have just got in that car. And then presuming we get home safely, I'd be worried about what I would do the next time that I'm in that situation, because I wouldn't want to phone my parents. So I don't know how that would play out. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And I'm also thinking, as a parent, if I had let's imagine one of my children is out with a friend and their parents pick them up and take them. If their parents were drunk, I would be absolutely furious. If somehow I was in a situation where I had maybe one drink and I thought maybe I can risk it and pick my child up, but then if they have a friend with them, then I'm thinking, should I be making that? It's a little bit extra, and then it makes me feel bad about why did I think it was okay with my child and not with somebody else's child. And yeah, that's it makes me angry when I read the question. I think about if it happened to my child, if they're in that situation, and yeah, it's a good one.
Excellent.
It's a good one.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Yes, it is enough to make you angry, actually.
Definitely. Ali.
I've been very lucky enough to actually never have seen my parents drunk. I really doubt they would never do that. I mean, they would never drink in the first place. But if I was in the unfortunate circumstance of having to be in a situation like that, I would definitely stick to my guns and try call a cab or an Uber. Or Kirsten made a very good point of actually going inside, calling another child's parents and convincing them, or making a whole big story about it that they are not in position to drive. So yeah, very good point there, Kristen. So yeah, no, I definitely wouldn't get in the car with him. I would definitely stick to my guns and not go along with it. What about you?
Well, as much as I'm risk averse, I also weigh up probabilities of what can happen afterwards. So it always depends on what type of parents you have. If you do have aggressive parents and they force you to do certain things, well, in that case, I would get in the car and just have to deal with it, because the other ramifications is they might kick me out the house. I'll lose my shelter. I'll lose food, because I'm a full dependent, and then I'll just take the risk of going with them. And then the next time I would make sure that I have another way to get home, because this precedent is set into something that will take place in the future, almost guaranteed. And like I said, there's bigger issues. If the parents were more considerate and weren't overpowering, then I would suggest that we go walk to a restaurant, spend some time there, 3 hours, 4 hours, let them sober up more, or else try and call an Uber. But I think it depends, once again, on the parents that you have. And I've also never had
Or
parents.
you can do something and stall time. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, stalling time I think is the safest option, because then you're not doing anything immoral in some way, and you're also not risking your life completely. But yeah,
And playing it safe.
You see, when I answer these questions, the last thing I do is I think about myself, and I think that's what you need to do, because if you've had the best life, you're not going to be giving good answers with these type of moral dilemmas. You need to consider other situations and other parents and, you know, other circumstances. So yeah, but that's it. That brings us to the end of the social dilemma. And